Hey guys, how you doing? So Dan from Trading with Dan here. Just a very quick video to give you guys an update on what is going on in the oil market. As you guys probably realized, the price is still around the $23 area, so pretty low by recent standards. So yeah, quick article here. So Pompeo urges Saudi Crown Prince to rise to the occasion to help lift the price of oil. First and foremost, I mean, obviously there are reasons why there are people that like higher oil prices, such as people involved in the oil industry. But let's not forget, low oil prices are great for basically everybody else. Just obviously oil is involved in the process of pretty much everything, supply chain of everything. So low oil cost is a lower input cost into all supply chains. So decreases the cost of everything that we need to buy. So that isn't a bad thing. So especially when people are struggling for money at the moment with the world economies shutting down. So with the world obsessing over every daily update of new cases in Lombardy or New York to gauge if we have peaked the curve, many appear to be forgetting that there is another just as pressing problem facing the global capital markets: the ongoing crash in the oil price, which not only threatens to leave millions of Texans unemployed indefinitely, not just for 1 to 2 months as a result of the virus pandemic, but unleash unprecedented defaults among US shale firms, most of which are financed by junk bonds, which will never be rolled over if the current conditions persist. So yeah, so it's a problem facing the global capital markets. So this is basically people that have got money invested in it, banks, hedge funds, obviously pensions that have bought these junk bonds. This is obviously not a problem facing the global consumer. So yeah, so just feel like I should point that out. And yeah, unleashes unprecedented defaults among US shale firms. I mean, partly is that they are uneconomical in the first place. And also that I've done a video before about their triple collar hedges, where they didn't think prices would go basically lower than $46, so are not hedged for prices under $46. So that's their own fault. So again, that's a gamble that they took, and now they obviously want bailing out because their gamble didn't pay off in great capitalistic style there. Yeah, so anyway, one person who has not forgotten, however, is Secretary of State Michael Pompeo, who held a phone call with the de facto leader of OPEC, or at least what's left of it, Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, in which the two discussed the need to maintain stability in the global energy markets, in what Bloomberg said amounted to the US's most direct intervention in the price war between Saudi Arabia and Russia. So yeah, by stability, I'm guessing they mean higher prices. I mean, because we could stay here at $23 a barrel. Saudi Arabia and Russia could just get used to that. American shale could then go offline. Prices would squeeze up a bit more as that uneconomic supply just disappears from the market, and then we'll have stability in the prices. But that obviously isn't what Michael Pompeo is on about. The Secretary of State stressed that as a leader of the G20 and an important energy leader, Saudi Arabia has a real opportunity to rise to the occasion and reassure the global economy and financial markets when the world faces a serious economic uncertainty, the State Department said on Wednesday. So again, it's the financial markets. It's not the actual real economy. The real economy, for the most part, massively benefits from lower oil prices. I mean, we had a recession sparked by oil prices going to $147 a barrel. So obviously, low oil prices can spark the opposite of a recession, can't they? Basically, and then a boom to most industries. Predictably, the two leaders who discussed their deep concerns about the virus outbreak and the need to contain the pandemic, which can only be imagined as a code for something much more sinister, especially with Iran having new cases above 27,000 and virtually none in Saudi Arabia. So yeah, containing it, they mean as in it not getting from Iran to Saudi Arabia. But going back to the point at hand, US shale producers have been reeling in the past 3 weeks, not so much due to the virus but to the result of depressed oil prices which crashed in the aftermath of the Russian-Saudi battle. Of course, the unprecedented hit to consumption from the global pandemic has not helped. Yeah, I mean, it's a supply shock and a demand shock at the same time. Basically massively reduced demand and massively increased supply. The price war was unleashed after Saudi Arabia failed to convince Russia to join the OPEC Plus alliance and cut production. And as Bloomberg notes, for now, the thinking in Ryder remains that only a collective output cut rather than unilateral action by the Saudis can turn the market around. The magnitude of the oversupply is such that Russia and Saudi Arabia would need to completely stop all their output to balance the market. Top oil trading house Vitol Group puts the glut at around 20 million barrels per day, which is an insane amount of basically extra oil that's being produced, on the basis that the US, which is the largest oil producer, exports about just over 10 million barrels a day. So if the global excess output is 20 million barrels per day, that's obviously a lot. And that obviously makes sense that Russia and Saudi Arabia would both have to stop to basically plug that gap of the extra 20 million that's been produced today, and obviously get it to basically what the world actually needs at the moment. So Pompeo's call comes amid failed attempts to push the price of oil higher, which has defied policymaker intervention seeking to inject trillions of dollars to offset harm from the pandemic. Brent has been trading around $26, about half of where it was trading at just before the start of the month. Meanwhile, as large parts of the global economy shut down to stop the spread of the virus, neither Saudi Arabia nor Russia are showing any signs of backing down on threats to pump more oil to gain market share, which means that the real hit to shale may persist long after COVID shutdown is gone. But that is fair enough. US shale oil is uneconomic, and so shouldn't be a factor anyway. US Energy Secretary Dan Bruletti said on Monday that the possibility of joint US-Saudi oil alliance is one idea under construction to stabilize prices after the worst crash in a generation. So I don't know how a US Saudi oil alliance would necessarily work. Maybe those two together would both reduce production, obviously with the US being the world's largest producer and the country with the highest production costs, so the country that needs the prices highest the most. So even if Russia doesn't comply, if Saudi and the US say like cut their production in half, I mean that could, in inverted commas, stabilize prices, i.e. make them go up. That's what they mean by stabilize. Just like the central banks mean with stable inflation means an inflation of 2% a year, which is not stable, because that's an ever increasing amount. But anyway, so right, remember, none of this is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Always do your own research. A quick update on the oil market there, and I'll be back at you later on with some more videos.